Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, my friends, whenever you are watching this video. Welcome back to another math time with me, Miss X. I am so excited to have you all here again. Let's begin by looking at our objective. Remember, our objective is always broken up into three separate parts so we know exactly how we're going to do something, what it is that we need to understand, and lastly, why we're doing it or why it's important. You may read with me or in your head as I read out loud to you. I will use arrowway and mini number bonds to simplify addition and subtraction equations in order to work more efficiently. Let's jump straight into our teacher model.
All right, friends and families, welcome to the first part of our teacher model. We have our first number sentence, which is 400 plus 200. Show me the solution. There are several ways to solve this. I'm going to use the arrow way that we practiced in the last lesson. Beginning with 400, and let's go ahead and just put an equal sign up there. Going to add 200 more. That means my first digit or my digit in the hundreds place is going to change by 2 more to give me 600. Moving on to our next, and let's box it in. Moving on to our next number sentence, 470 plus 200. Show me how we can solve it. My solution is 670. Working on the next number sentence, I want you to pause here and talk to a friend or family first. How would you solve 470 plus 210 using all of our strategies that we've been learning in the last lesson and all the lessons before that? And then we will come back and talk together about it as a team. All right, friends and families. So there are two ways that we can solve this. We can solve this with our mini number bond, which I will do on the left side, or we can solve it with the arrow way. Let's begin by doing the arrow way first. With the arrow way, I'm starting with 470, and then I know that I'm adding 210 more. So I'm going to add 100 as 100 out of the 210. That means my number will change from 470 to 570. Then I'm going to add 100 again so that my number is 670. Then I'm going to add 10 more so that my number is 680. My solution then is 680. Let's see if that's true with our mini number bonds. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to break up 470 into 70 and 400. I'm going to break up 210 into 210. I'm going to combine my hundreds, which is 400 plus 200. That gives me 600. Now I'm going to rewrite another number sentence that's simplified. So starting with 600, check mark that off, plus 70, check mark that off, plus 10, check mark that off. Oh my gosh, I noticed that 70 plus 10 is 80. That makes it really easy for me to see then that 600 plus 80 is 680. The solution matches the arrow way. All right, friends and families, for the next part of our teacher model, we are working with the number sentence 470 plus 250. Now we can use the arrow way or we can use mini number bonds. I'm going to go ahead and use mini number bonds. I'm going to go ahead and first split 470 up into 70 and 400. I'm also going to split 250 up into 250. Now I'm going to group by my hundreds just to make it easier for myself to add, because the whole point of mini number bonds is to re-simplify or simplify and rewrite. 400 and 200 gives me 600. Let's go ahead and rewrite that. 600 plus, let's check mark that, plus 70 plus 50. And my friends, we are not adding in 400 and 200 again because we already combined it. Okay, let's keep going. This looks a little bit scary, so I'm actually going to break up 50 into 30 and 20. We're not always going to use mini number bonds. When we break number bonds, we're not always going to use them to break them up into place values. You'll notice that 50 is the same thing as 5 tens and 0 ones, but we broke up 50 into 30 and 20. Mini number bonds don't always have to go with the place value. You don't always have to use mini number bonds to break up a number by place value. Now you'll notice that 70 and 30 make 100. Therefore, I'm going to rewrite my number sentence as 600 plus 100 plus 20. And then you'll notice that I'm going to group 600 and 100 to get me to 700. 720. So 720, or 700 plus 20 is 720. Therefore, my solution is 720, and I can put it up here as well. Let's work on our next number sentence, which is 590 plus 240. I noticed something really interesting here, my friends. I noticed something about this first number. I wonder if anyone else notices this too. It's really close to 600. It's just 10 away from 600. I can make the next 100 to help me solve the problem. So let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to take 10 out of the 240 so that I have 230 left. Now I'm going to go ahead and group 590 and 10 to make 600. Now I have 600 plus 230. You can solve this two ways. You can solve this with Arrowway or with mini number bond. I'm just going to solve this with a mini number bond because it's easier for me. Breaking that up into 230. Then I'm going to regroup to get me to 800. 800 plus 30 gives me 830. Therefore, my solution, or my whole, is 830. Alright, my friends, welcome to the last part of our teacher model. Let's take a look at our number sentence, 400 minus 200. Show me the solution. You may show me with Arrowway or mini number bonds. I'm going to do this with Arrowway. Oops. Great. With the Arrowway, you can see the change in the hundreds digit because we are subtracting 200, and you'll notice that I did finish subtracting 200. I took away the first 100 there, and then I took away the second 100 there. Now let's try another number sentence. Slightly harder. 440 minus 200. And I'm going to use the Arrowway again. The Arrowway is really helpful, but so is the mini number bond strategy. This time though, it's a lot easier for me. I'm going to go ahead and just take away 200 instead of doing it 100 by 100. That puts me at my solution of 240. Let's go ahead and keep going. 440 minus 240. You may do this with the Arrowway, or you may do this with the mini number bond to simplify. Our next problem is 440 minus 240. Again, you can show this with mini number bonds for simplification, or you can do it with the Arrowway. I'm going to show you both. Let's begin by doing the mini number bond. I'm going to break up 440 into 40 and 400, 240 into 240. I'm going to combine 400 and 200 to easily show 200. Remember, my friends, you're not always adding when you combine like that. You don't always add because you need to pay attention to our order of operations and our operation, which is subtraction in this case. So I'm going to rewrite 200 minus 40 minus 40. I notice that 40 and 40, so 40 minus 40 is actually going to be 0. Therefore, 200 minus 0 is 200. And that's our solution. Let's try this with the arrow way. Starting with 440, which is our whole, I'm going to jump back 100 to get me to 340. Then I'm going to jump back another 100 to get me to 240. Then I'm going to jump back 40 because I'm taking away a part. So I have 100, 200 so far that I've taken away. I need 40 more to take away. So I'm going to go ahead and take 40 away instead of taking away 10 4 times. That's just way too long. And that puts me at my end point of 200, which is my solution. It's also my missing part. All right, friends and families, let's finish up our last part of the teacher model, or our last number sentence for the teacher model. Our number sentence reads, or our equation reads 440 minus 260. And remember, with subtraction number sentences, we always begin with the whole. So even though we don't label it, we remember subtraction number sentences begin with the whole. Now, let's go ahead and solve this. We can solve this with the arrow way, or we can solve this with mini number bonds. I'm going to go ahead and use mini number bonds this time because we like to switch it up, just so we have lots of strategies to solve several different problems. I'm going to go ahead and break up 260 into 260. Now, I'm not breaking up 440 because that feels like it's pretty easy to work with. So let's see if that's true though. 440 minus 200 is going to put me at 240 because remember, with 200s, that's the same thing as taking away 200s. And so I know that the digit in the whole is going to get smaller or decrease by 2, which it did. So now it's 240. We have 240 and 60 left to work with. Let's go ahead and work with that. 240 minus 60. Whoa, my friends, this feels really crazy. So what we can do is we can break this up with mini number bonds, or we can use the arrow way and jump by tens. I'm going to go ahead and break this up with a mini number bond. I'm going to break 60 up into 40 and 20. Then I'm going to go ahead and subtract 240 from 40 from 240 to put me at 200. That puts me at 200 minus 20. Now my new number sentence is 200 minus 20 equals, this feels kind of scary, my friends, so what you can do is you can do mini number bonds or arrow way, but I'm going to use arrow way to help me out here. I'm going to jump back 10. So that 10 less than 200 is actually 190. Oh, let's go ahead and fix that. 190. And then 10 less again is, or 10 less than 190 is 180. Therefore, my solution is 180. You'll notice, my friends, that throughout the problem, we used mini number bonds, and then we decided to finish up with arrow away. That is okay. You can use several strategies throughout your problem in order to get to your solution.
As you get ready to move into independent practice and your exit ticket, please keep these 4 things in mind. Number 1, read the directions carefully. I cannot say this enough. You need to read the directions carefully. Number 2, use scrap paper if you need it. Number 3, keep your work organized. Number 4, pay close attention to the units on number 3 of page 61. Don't forget to click the link in the description box below if you don't have access to the worksheets yet. It will take you to the worksheet. Don't worry about printing it if you don't have access to a printer. Just write down the problems on a separate piece of paper and solve it on your own the best that you can. Good luck, my friends. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your work, and I will see you all in the next lesson.